Hey guys, so I wanted to share with you something that I felt like the Lord put on my heart this week. Kind of piggybacks off of last week, but I want to read to you First Kings 19 8 through 14 first. This is kind of how I got to this point. It's First Kings 19 8 through 14 out of the New Living. It says, "So he got up and ate and drank, and the food gave him enough strength to travel 40 days and 40 nights to Mount Sinai, the mountain of God. There he came to a cave where he spent the night. But the Lord said to him, 'What are you doing here, Elijah?' Elijah replied, 'I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too. Go out and stand before me on the mountain,' the Lord told him. And as Elijah stood there, the Lord passed by, and a mighty windstorm hit the mountain. It was such a terrible blast that the rocks were torn loose, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, there was the sound of a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And the voice said, 'What are you doing here, Elijah?' He replied again, 'I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too.'" Okay, so 1 Kings 19, 8 through 14, that's what I just read. So if you remember last week, I came on here and I literally just wanted to remind y'all that when stuff goes crazy, right? Not just right now with all this stuff going on, because there certainly is a lot of stuff going on right now that certainly fits within the category of like stuff going crazy. Stuff that could just be like nerve-wracking and distracting and like scary stuff, right? But just generally speaking, that whenever there is stuff that is going on around us with the potential to distract us, overwhelm us, and just cause us to be afraid. I just wanted to remind you last week not to be afraid, because Jeremiah 29, 11 through 13, God has a plan. God is with you. You can talk to him about it, and when you talk to him, he's going to listen. And that was last week, and I hope and pray that you guys are all doing well. That you and your loved ones are all healthy, and today that's I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit, hopefully to encourage you more than last week. I'm also going to say that I believe what I'm going to say today is just another piece of the puzzle from last week, that I'm sharing it in faith, hoping that maybe as the body, we can step out in faith, right? And then maybe I don't know, maybe who knows what the Lord's going to do with it, right? With our obedience, if we step out in faith, I don't know. But so just to go back to like preamble this a little bit, like many of you, I was super excited when I work at a public school, and I was super excited when they were like talking about the possibility of staying home and not going to work. I was kind of bummed out, but my initial thought was, okay, cool, I have no say in this, so I'll take a vacation from work, whatever, try to stay positive, not like I had a choice. And but I literally, I was trying to be positive, and then like stuff started closing down, and I couldn't go anywhere, and I couldn't do anything, and I was stuck in the house, and literally, like, no joke. It's kind of funny now, but it's kind of not funny. It's kind of like one of those whatever. Literally, just to make a long story short, literally no joke. It's really sad, sad honestly. Week 1, day 3, I was messaging back and forth with someone, and I actually sent to her this. I said, "It's only week 1, day 3, and I'm losing it. This is stupid. I just want to go back to work." That's what I said. Like I sent that. It was tainted with so much sarcasm. But the reality of it was I had done so many push-ups. I had walked as much as I was able to. I got outside as much as I could. I kept busy with as much stuff that I could keep busy with. I've been trying to be focusing on my diet. I've been trying to like make my plates look real pretty and posting, annoying everybody on social media about what I'm eating because it keeps me busy and it just keeps me focusing on something other than like the media and the news and the fact that I am just in my house and not allowed to like go anywhere, like my normal routines just like not normal. And so, it's week 1, day 3, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And it's funny, but it's not. Like at the time it wasn't. And so I'm going to go more into that later. But it's it's the irony of it that this was last week. This was before like a lot of stuff was shutting down. This was just last week. Like I could still do certain things. Not everything was shut down. It wasn't even like the stay-at-home order. This was just like we recommend that you don't go out. So, and David is pacing back and forth, like this is stupid. This is not cool. I have to get out of this house. It's funny now, but it's really not funny. And then we get to the next week, and we start talking about churches not gathering, and I'm like, I'm going to die in this house, which is farthest from the truth. But I say all that because I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels this way. We're all going stir crazy. I've talked to several people. We're all like, we are so accustomed as a people to just stay busy, whether it's legitimate reasons or not. But we don't know how to just sit and be calm. And even when we do, because I thought I'm a pretty chill guy, I'm a pretty calm guy. Even when we do, we don't do it right, apparently. I don't, anyway. Because I thought I knew how. I thought I could when I needed to, just recharge and stuff. But clearly I do not know how. So what I'm learning, what I've been observing, what I'm seeing here is, as a people, we don't know how to do this, and we need to learn to slow down and listen. And as I mentioned, like last week, and I say on here all the time, like we need to change our focus from the things that we see. We need to stop looking at things. We need to focus on Jesus. And even last week I talked about we need to peel off the filtered lenses of the distraction, like the things that would distract us from our eyes, just so that we can focus on Jesus and just so we can focus on the Lord, so we can see what He's doing, so we can understand what's going on around us. And I felt like something just clicked during a devotional at the beginning of the week, and then again some more during a real heavy heart to heart with the Lord. So as David is pacing back and forth, going stir crazy, and just bouncing off the walls, literally pacing. You can talk to anybody that has seen me. I'm going from the kitchen to the living room to the hallway to the bathroom to the other room to my room I'm just I'm doing push-ups on the kitchen floor. I'm doing sit-ups in the living. I'm just all over the place. And I'm still walking. I'm still I'm not trapped. I don't know what I'm doing. Clearly not doing it right? So I'm just bouncing off the walls, pacing back and forth, going stir crazy. But I was doing a devotional one day, and I read this set of scriptures from 1 Kings 19, 8 through 14. And I started reading, and Elijah goes off to this cave and starts talking to God. All this stuff happens. There's the windstorm, the earthquake, the fire, all this loud, boisterous, amazing, big thing. All these things, these distracting things come up. But beyond that, beyond all that noise, beyond all that stuff, Elijah heard God's voice in the quiet whisper. So what happens to us when it gets too quiet? I thought about that because my thing, it gets quiet. You're sitting around a fire and it's quiet. And you start hearing, you think you hear something. Maybe there's nothing there. You think you hear something. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. I don't know. Parents, if you're a parent, maybe if you're a dog owner, I don't know. You know what it means when things suddenly just get quiet in your home? You know, hey, what are you doing in there? You know, what's going on? It's too quiet in here. You know that quiet typically something's up, something's wrong. But as a people, every day we're walking around like, I just need some peace and quiet. I've said it. I know a lot of people who say it. You've probably said it too. But as soon as it gets quiet, we can't deal with it. As soon as it gets quiet, we immediately think that something around us is wrong. We as people, we are accustomed to the noise around us so much that the quiet actually concerns us. We want peace and quiet, but we also don't like to just calm down and be settled. It's become an inside joke at work with people I interact with all the time. It started anytime that I would get frustrated or overwhelmed or annoyed or whatever, I would just be like, oh, just calm down. And I would like say it to other people, but I would say it to other people when I needed to calm down. And it never actually worked. But like when I'd say it, it was like, you know, it was funny and it was like ironic and everybody would start laughing. And it didn't necessarily calm anybody down. It actually did the opposite. But it was like during stressful times and everybody would laugh and then it would like, it provoked a positive response. So then other people, you know, it just kind of became a thing. It didn't calm nothing down though. So now it's become a thing where I tell me to calm down, I tell everybody else to calm down. Others tell me to calm down as needed, you know. But even though it lightens the mood and it's funny and it helps us not get super stressed, not blow a gasket, the irony in it is when we tell each other to calm down, we all like erupt in laughter. Nobody calms down. Nobody calms. It does the opposite effect of calming. It's positive. It's great. It's a good thing, but it's not calming. It's irony. It is not. It's hilarious. Is what it is. I actually think that it annoys the guy I work with on first shift, but it's fun for me, and it's kind of like our thing at this point. So, whatever. I'm going to keep doing it. But the point is, we as people do not like to just calm ourselves down. We don't like to settle ourselves and enjoy the quiet around us, even when we know we should. Even when someone's like, calm down, you should do it. Even when we tell ourselves to calm down. It's not something that we like. It's not natural for us. We don't like to calm ourselves down. We don't like to settle ourselves down. We don't enjoy the quiet around us, even though we just want peace and quiet. We don't like being alone with ourselves. We don't like being alone with our thoughts, our fears, our insecurities. You know, those things that distract us and overwhelm us. We want to be distracted from those things that distract us. We want to be distracted from those things too, our fears, our thoughts, our insecurities, ourselves. Those things that we don't like being stuck in our heads. We want to be distracted from those things too, because they can overwhelm us too. However, we can distract ourselves from those, we will, just so we don't have to deal with them. And that's why we keep busy. That's why we like to have, constant noise, even though we just want peace and quiet. And that's why we as people, we like the windstorms, we like the earthquakes, we like the fires, because we miss the truth that's found within the quiet whispers. We can choose to ignore the parts we don't like about the things that we don't like, because we're looking at the loud and boisterous and the entertaining. We're missing the quiet whispers. So that's how I got to this point, right? I'm in this devotional and the Lord's talking to me and I'm like, oh yeah. At this point, I'm thinking of all this and I'm starting to feel horrible that, week 1, day 3, and I'm failing hardcore, clearly. So I'm praying and I'm reading and I'm still doing my devotions and everything. But I was like, okay, I'm missing something. Let's dig in a little deeper. And I spent the next day praying and quiet, locked myself in my room. It was miserable. Just to be honest, there was a whole lot of other stuff going on for me that day. It wasn't just miserable because I was stuck in my room praying. It was hard to do. It was hard to do. You know, there was a lot of stuff going on. I'm a hands-on fella. I'm the kind of guy when I don't know what to do, I want to do it. Just get out there and do something. Just make stuff happen. And certain things I have to wait on. Certain things David has to wait on. He has to let things just naturally happen. There's certain things he's got to just let the Lord do what the Lord's going to do in it. And so, patience and David is something that the Lord's working on that in me. So, there's a lot of things that I'm like, and I just have to sit, and I hate it. But on the flip side, like as I'm sitting and praying and stuff, like it was a rough day in general, and I'm sitting and I can't do nothing about it. And I'm like, I'm gonna pray and pray and pray, and I'm like, but I want to do and do, and I'm like, just sit and pray. So I just settled myself in, locked myself in my room, and I'm just gonna dig my heels in deep, and we're gonna do this until we're done, right? Not even sure what that's supposed to look like, not even sure what that's supposed to mean. But so I'm like in my room, door shut and locked for like several hours. I don't know, 6-7 hours. Just laying on my floor. I don't know. It was, I'm just going to dig my heels in. And I even tried at one point to distract myself with my phone. Nobody was online. Nobody was there. It was really quiet. And I was just laying on the bedroom floor. It was just me and the Lord. And I really feel like the Lord just showed me at one point through this heart-to-heart that we were having, that I was dumb and I needed to just calm down and be patient. Because whether I liked it or not, he was making this happen, right? And he just showed me at one point that it was a time for me. It was a time for, I think us, but a time for me to just stop, calm myself down, just stop, and to calm myself down, and to really delve into prayer. Like, I never stopped praying, but just more than ever before. And I really kind of feel like the one thing that the Lord reminded me of is how many times around a major event in the Word, in the Bible, that he himself, like he went off, Jesus Christ went off for a time of private prayer. There's so many examples. In Mark 1:35, it says, early in the morning while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went out to a secluded place and was praying there. That's Mark 1:35 out of the Amplified. This verse so early. It's like early in Jesus' ministry. It gives us the first of many examples. Like Jesus went away to a place where it was secluded, where it was private, and he just prayed. You see it recorded over and over again. He goes off early in the day before anyone else is awake to notice him leave, and before anything can get in the way to distract him. He goes, secludes himself to a lonely place for a prayerful, intimate time with the Father, and he's intentional about it. And that's what we. In fact, that's what we see. We see Jesus doing the same thing, going off and taking time in quiet, intentionally praying in private before or after or around so many major events, and just in his time during his ministry while he was here. And just a couple of examples. I'm going to blast through them real quick. Before he chose the 12 apostles, Luke 6:12, as an example, he went off into the hills and prayed in private. It even says he went on and continued praying on into the night. The feeding of 5,000. Before the miracle in Matthew 14:13, we see that Jesus withdraws to a solitary place. It's in this downtime that he's talking to the Father, and then he comes back and he heals the sick. And then all of a sudden, while he's healing the sick, all these people are hungry, and all they have is 5 loaves and 2 fish. Of course, we know that the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, they stretch and they feed all of those people. But then after that, this is not only does he seclude himself before that, but after that, in verse 23, we see that Jesus goes off in private again, and it says in Matthew 14:23 that after he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone. I mean, it's just, you see this time and time again. Before the transfiguration, Luke 9:29, Jesus takes Peter, John, and James with him up a mountain to pray. He takes them away, and they are praying, and it's this prelude right before the transfiguration happens, and it's just he takes him up a mountain to pray, secludes himself up, just goes up away from things, distractions, problems. Before the crucifixion, the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Mark 14:32 through 41. Not only does Jesus go to a quiet, secluded place to pray, but this is another example, just like the last one, where he actually takes others with him to pray with him. And this is the thing. It's so quiet and calm and peaceful that this is my favorite example, that it's so quiet and calm and peaceful that they all fall asleep. Right? I mean, you know how it goes. It's so quiet and calm and peaceful. They all fall asleep. That Jesus comes back and he's like, can't you stay watch for 1 hour? He takes them there. Jesus is in serious prayer, having real intimate relationship with the Father. One of the translations is sweating drops of blood, like he is like crying out, like, Lord, if you could take this from me, and the ones he brings with him are falling asleep. It's two differing comparisons as to how Jesus looked at the quiet places for prayer and how we view the quiet places as people. So time and time again, though, there's other examples, but those are some of the ones I picked out. Like, time and time again, this is the example that Jesus gives us of going off in private and praying, secluding ourselves like he did, deep in the private places, away from the hustle and the bustle of all the busy things that would distract us, so that we may have true, deep, meaningful, intimate relationship with the Father. Like I started off saying, this is a time that a lot of us are sitting at home, going stir crazy, and chomping at the bit just to get back to the normalcy of a daily routine. I want to go back to work. I said it a lot. I know by the second day I go back, though, I'm going to want to go back home again. That's how I am. That's how we are. That's how people are. We are just chomping at the bit to get back to some kind of normalcy, right? But think about this time right here. We don't like being surrounded by all this sitting, all this quiet. We don't want to have to deal with the things that we have, like that we maybe have let sit off by the side. Things we don't want to deal with, whether it's a messy room that needs organized, we just don't want to deal with it, or maybe it's some real deep, messy, emotional stuff that we've allowed to stay hidden, as we just keep going on busy with our daily grind because we don't want to deal with it. But I feel like what the Lord showed me is he's going to, this is an opportunity here. The Lord is allowing this as an opportunity. Just like he would go and pray before, after, or around some big major event that happened in Scripture, he's going to using this time where we're all stuck in our houses, where we're all secluded, for intimate fellowship, for intimate relationship with him and the Father, for us too. You follow that example. I think this is a time for us to really buckle down and follow that example. We may be kicking and screaming about certain things and focusing on all the stuff that we can't do, or the stuff that's scary and the stuff that's worrying us right now. But if we're focusing on that, we're missing the fact that he's giving us priceless opportunity to slow down and be isolated in this private time, in this secluded moment with him. To pray like we never have before. Because I really believe out of this, he's about to do something like we've never seen before if we hold on to our faith, if we hold on to him and we walk with him. I think this is the time he wants us to really, really use this opportunity. And I keep using the word opportunity. It's not a prison sentence. It's an opportunity for us to really, really, really grow closer to him in ways we never have before. While we're focusing on all these distractions with the media and how loud this stuff is around us, the windstorm, the earthquake, and the fire, while we're focusing on all these distractions, or maybe even how loud the quiet is. Sometimes the quiet is loud, right? I don't know what it is that you're going through. Maybe all of those things that may seem like the windstorms or the earthquakes or the blazing fires in our lives, even those things that sometimes are neat, interesting, and hold our attention temporarily because they're flashy. Maybe those things are being put aside right now, whether we like it or not, because the Lord is giving us an opportunity. Maybe this is Him giving us the opportunity to pray like we never have before in a quiet, secluded, private place, because He's about to do something through our obedience, through our relational obedience with Him like we've never seen Him do before. And that's what I got. So I just want to encourage you today to just use this downtime. And if you don't know Him, He loves you and He wants to know you. And if you do know Him, spend some time talking to Him. This week, maybe in ways you haven't talked to Him in a long time, or in ways you haven't talked to Him before. I hope you guys have a good week. I'm praying for you. You guys pray for me. God bless.